This book tells the story of how Jack Welch took over GE, or General Electric, at a time when the business was doing a good job of serving the various stakeholders in the business, including workers, managers, suppliers, the local community, and of course, shareholders of company stock. He then immediately shifted the strategy to what was then a somewhat novel approach, where he focused exclusively on producing shareholder value with very little regard to anything else. And this strategy caused him to focus on things like eliminating jobs, outsourcing work, strong-arming suppliers, acquiring other businesses, capitalizing on tax loopholes, and using manipulative accounting, all to create the appearance of consistent quarterly success. Now, I think it's worth pointing out that it's not entirely clear, at least to me, just how much of Welch's approach was based on greed, which is kind of the central theme of the book, versus, for example, perhaps a belief or a recognition that times were changing. So, in other words, I think it's kind of worth asking the question, was Jack responsible for all of these changes in America? Or was his approach kind of a response to the changes that were already happening, or perhaps were already necessary when you factor in things like perhaps increased global competition, or perhaps a recognition of growing inefficiencies in business? It's also worth pointing out that many people place blame on President Ronald Reagan for breaking the air traffic controllers strike in 1981. He effectively eliminated 11,000 jobs of these air traffic controllers who are currently on a union strike. He broke the union. He banned those 11,000 workers from ever working in the industry again. And many people point to this event as setting a precedent, because here you have a president of the United States effectively sending the message that workers are expendable. Nevertheless, it does seem safe to say that Jack Welch played a unique role in introducing new and much more aggressive tactics around putting profits before people. And as the book explains, he really influenced a whole new generation of CEOs that took a very similar approach. Many of them got their start at GE and then went on to run other businesses in which they followed a similar approach, where they would just gut companies through cost-cutting measures, really focus on just maximizing short-term revenue to show quarterly performance, and they would pocket tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in the process, and often leave these businesses as being a shadow of their former selves, having really just focused on short-term targets and not really made the investments that you would want to make for a business to have a long and promising future ahead of it. So anyway, if you're interested in learning more about the impact of Jack Welch, and as the book goes on to explain some ideas of how to potentially reverse the trend, consider reading The Man Who Broke Capitalism by David Gellis.